Hey, it's Carol, owner of Crystals and Chai. Welcome to my podcast and my YouTube channel. For my podcast people, I am sorry it's been a bit. I had some health issues that were causing me to really take a step back. And I will be posting this video episode on YouTube. And I think I'm going to be doing that from now on. For this episode, I want to say there's many different types of empaths and some signs that you might be one. This is my list, and it's not everything, it's just a few examples. And I hope that you listen to the end, because the last one is actually fairly big and one that I've been working on for a bit. For the first definition of an empath is having empathy for others and the ability to feel what others feel at some times. That is my own definition, having lived with being an empath all my life. So the first one I'm going to say is you feel others' emotions, which is basically the definition of an empath. But the reason I bring this up is the best way I can describe it is degrees, like different levels or different degrees. There are some that can be around someone and instantly they know what's going on, whose the energy is, how they're feeling, if someone's giving them bull crap, whatever. And I can definitely feel when things are going on. I just don't always know who. I don't know what's going on, like really define it at times, which is annoying to me, because some people are like, oh, they're on it, they know what's going on. For me, I'll even, if it's sadness, I'll even get like if you've ever had a baby and you have the baby blues and you don't know you're crying, that's kind of how I get at times. All of a sudden, and then I'll even feel my face, I'm like, why am I crying? And it's because someone else is really having a bad day or they're sad. And that really, that is interesting to me. But basically, I have to compose myself into the best to remove the energy while I'm in that time. And I'm going to be doing an episode on that too on YouTube, because it's more of a visual. Mood swings are things with empaths. Sometimes I feel like I'm all over the place with how I feel. And sometimes I'll feel great, and then all of a sudden I'm grumpy, and I can't always figure it out. And then I realize, oh, that's not my energy. So that's one thing, feeling emotions. The next one, you connect with animals, and they to you. My husband and I are full-time fifth wheelers, and the parks that we've been to, there are generally a lot of dogs. The dogs have a tendency to be drawn to me. I also have my small business and I do markets. There will be dogs that will come to the markets, and they're with their owners, of course, and the dogs will they'll be drawn to me. I've had a couple go under my table at my markets, and they'll like take a little bit of a snooze while their owners are looking at my table. And yeah, it's interesting. And sometimes people will be walking their dogs at the RV park here and other places, and they'll just come up to us and come up to me and just want to say hi. We had our two cats. They've both crossed over the Rainbow Bridge, but they would protect us fiercely. They'd be like, if somebody wasn't a very good human, they'd be like, oh, okay. Basically. So they were very big protectors. So that's another way empaths have on people. If you're watching this on YouTube, I am looking from my OneNote, because I'd be all over the place if I didn't. And this next one is more of a Claire, but it is an empathic trait, which is you just know. I mean, it's crazy. Sometimes you just know. It's claircognizance, which is clear knowing. And this is what I do have, and it can be interesting. In my family, I'm kind of known as a little bit of a Cupid. The Cupid is where if a family member is dating someone and they want to know, hey, what's going on here? I'll know without knowing, hey, did they do this, da 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 da? And they'll be like, how'd you know that? And I'll be like, I don't know. I just know. And it's only been off once or twice with a family member. And I figured out why. And that answer is personal. But there are times I just know. You ever get those gut instincts? I get those gut instincts. That is part of the knowing. Or you just... you just have that bullcrap measure built in, which is one thing that I'm kind of missing. I have been quite gullible in my life, up until recently, like the last 10 years or so. I just figure out certain things, but I still have to really investigate it. But that part kind of missed me a little bit. So I am going to pause here for just a second through these different numbered ones to say, I want to take a bit to say that I am not making any money from Spotify yet. If you enjoy listening to this, please rate my podcast wherever you're listening. And if you're on the YouTube watching this, like, share, comment, because that would be great. Get me out there. If you would please share this podcast episode, or just the podcast and just a podcast in general, so I can get more listeners. And if you'd like to support my podcast, my Linktree is in the description below. Not required, but appreciated. I'd be grateful if you rated and shared through, interacting would be even better. Comment on this episode or the YouTube video. On with the episode, and thank you for listening. So the next one, and if you're counting that, this would be like the fourth one, and they're not in order like I said. The fourth one, certain elements soothe you. For me, it's water. The element gives you strength. When you're feeling overwhelmed or tired, your go-to element, it recharges you. And I usually go to the beach because I live near the ocean. Our current RV park has a pool and a hot tub. I soak in it and I get recharged. It's amazing. And the next one is alone time. I am a hermit. I go into hermit mode. I have times when I just want to be alone. I love my husband, but I gotta have my alone time. We are empty nesters, so the kids aren't here to need help. And I could literally go a month without leaving home and just be by myself. And I also love being by myself. There are some people can't do that, but I love myself enough that I love my own company. And having some tea. Gotta keep hydrated. And the last one, which is one I've been working on. This last one. So if you've listened or watched this to the end, this is the part that I'm talking about. Empathic sponge is what I call it. I have the ability, unfortunately at times, to take on others' characteristics of people. I have two examples. One example, when I was younger, about 13, 14 years old, I was in foster care. My foster mom had some stomach issues. When I went into foster care, I had no stomach issues. I was fine. And when I went in there, I don't know, just regular interaction with people. But then after I got out of that foster care, or left the foster care, all of a sudden I couldn't drink dairy, milk, ice cream. It was just not going to happen. It wasn't until like 40 years later that I figured out it was my energy. Another example, about 10 years back, I worked with someone who was celiac. All of a sudden I started getting severe headaches from gluten. I had to completely cut off the gluten. It was basically me working with my energy, like really working with my energy. And I'm gonna work on that kind of episode next, the next episode we have, of having to learn how to get that energy out of you. It has to do with clearing out some of your chakras, but it is interesting. And yeah, I was able to work those energies, but it took months for me to really work on those energies. But have you ever had that? Taken on characteristics of other people, like health-wise, or just in general? But yeah, it took me a while to do that. So if you have any of these in common with what I've said, do you relate to them? Have you had any of those? Please leave a comment, because I'd love to hear what you have to say. And that concludes this episode. And for Crystals and Chai services and my social medias, the link is in the description below. And if you have any questions or comments or want to connect with me, you can either comment on this episode or email me at crystalsnchihealing@gmail.com. And again, as I said before, I'm not getting, as of today, which is May 22nd, 2024, Spotify is not paying me, and neither is the YouTube channel yet. Working on it, working on both, so please share this with somebody, tag them in the video or the podcast episode, whatever. But yeah, be great if you could share. Anyway, until next time, thank you for your time. Love and light, Carol.